Darren Waller traded to the Dolphins to fill the void left by Jonnu Smith's departure over to Pittsburgh. DK Metcalf, we got to talk a little bit about DK Metcalf, who's affected by all of this Steeler-Dolphin movement. And we've talked about it. We mentioned that he could be the real quiet winner of this entire fiasco, but we need to focus on it in a live stream. We had a few people on the Patreon request this video about DK. So we're going to mix these two together. Darren Waller retiring from rap. I mean, I don't know what we're going to do. I mean, I was really getting settled in on Darren Waller, the rapper, the artist, and now he retires from that and throws his hat back in the ring to play football. But the question is this man right here going to be able to do anything for you in fantasy football? He's turning 33 years. Ziggy, how old is Darren Waller?
Darren Waller is 32 years old and was born on September 1992.
Right after week one, this man turns 33 years old. I know Kelsey's 5 or whatever, but he turns 33 years old. Not young. In the NFL, it's old. Let's talk about it. The Fantasy Football Show begins right now.
Live from the FantasyFootballShow.com studios. It's the Fantasy Football Show. Live! Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Smitty is also live whenever news breaks.
Ma, turn down that Darren Waller music. We're doing a live stream. Get that meatloaf ready. God, Ma's been blasting the Darren Waller music ever since the announcement. She thinks that it's going to be pulled from the airwaves and all that, but I tell her it's probably going to be there forever. Darren Waller retiring from the rap game, jumping back into the NFL game. Now, there was a caller that called, and I take my responsibility in lumps, when they come, and I want you to know that. Caller called in yesterday, said, who are they going to trade for? And I said, trade for? Why would the Dolphins trade for a tight end? They clearly don't want one. Now, that caller was right. They're going to trade for a tight end. They're going to do it snappy, but there wasn't a lot to go get. So this was a unique situation, but I was wrong in thinking that this team wouldn't fill the void right away. The question is, what in the hell are the Dolphins doing? Why would you get rid of something that works really well for your quarterback that needs a safety valve and mechanism to keep him upright and on the field, a quick release, a comfortable safety blanket of sorts? Jonnu Smith was working. Who cares if you have to pay him a little bit of money or whatever the hell? I mean, he's not going to hold out. Even if he held in, he'd play. You don't have players holding out anymore. They can't do that. They can't afford it. So you could have easily played this thing out, but instead you go get a 33-year-old player that hasn't played good football since 2020, since the pandemic, or 2021. Was it 2020 and 2021? This guy hasn't played good football 4 or 5 years. And he didn't play well when he was constantly injured when he exited the league. So it's not like he left on a good note. He's very injury prone. He was an old late bloomer anyway. And he's 33 years old. I can tell you one thing. The recipe for a situation, Matt, I have the Will Smith thing on my Instagram, if that's what you're referencing. Will Smith making a comeback, Darren Waller making a comeback. They're like crossing streams, and both of them look awful right now in their attempt, I think. But I think that if you believe that Waller can play bad football for like 4 or 5 years, literally hasn't done well since, what was it? Was it 2020 or 2021? Hey, let me look it up. Let me pull up Darren Waller's stats just to be completely accurate. Darren Waller stats. Because this is kind of almost laughable to me. I don't really understand where this allure is. Some of it is about people finding that golden gem on the waiver wire, or they have a desperate void at tight end that they botched in their draft, and here's a white dove flying in from the sky that's about to save their fantasy football hopes and dreams. 2020 was his last good solid season. Look at this. The pandemic. 11, 96, and 9 The guy didn't do anything in 2021, didn't do anything in 2022, didn't do anything in 2023. And then, he missed games like crazy. And then he took a year off. So you're talking about somebody that's been sitting gathering cobwebs on the sideline in the rap game, probably not in the best of shape. Maybe he's still working out, but that's different. I just don't understand where the allure is here. I don't get it. It literally has to be from people that they don't have anything else better going right now. They're looking for something spicy. I told people watch Waterfront on Netflix, but that doesn't seem to be enough for some of you people. Now you want to have some sort of like underdog Darren Waller story to tell your grandkids. I don't know that it's going to work out well. The man didn't play good football the handful of years before exiting the game. 2023, 2022, 2021. He hadn't played good football for 3 straight years and then took a year off and is coming back year 5. I don't understand what anybody's thinking here. Now, I will say from a very, let's see, patient and open-minded perspective, let's say, that could this be a decent football move for the team? It's not going to be Jonnu Smith numbers, but could he just kind of be a solid presence that commands a little bit of respect out there, catches 3, maybe 4 touchdowns, pulls in 375 to 450 yards, plays decent, plays better than what they have, essentially. That's understandable. But let me tell you this, everything that we said yesterday about Achane going to
Stock on the rise.
To Jupiter. And even everything we said about the targets increasing for Hill, the targets increasing for Waddle, even though I think their ADPs are still ridiculous and I don't want anything to do with them. I love that Hill's climbing. I love that Waddle's climbing and pushing other players we love down in the draft board and the ADP board. None of that changes because of this. Don't think you're replacing Jonnu. There's some people that go, man, we got good news about Achane. I guess Achane's back to being okay. What do you mean? This doesn't do anything to that. I really, really hope that people don't have some sort of weird overreaction to this and they eliminate the ADP advantages we just got yesterday by Tyreek Hill and Waddle pushing better players down as people rise them up. I don't think people are that dumb that they're going to literally say, oh yeah, Waller, never mind. Okay, let's go ahead and push. And I do hope for the Achane's sake. Maybe it's a mutually beneficial thing. Like we don't get those fallers like we wanted, but maybe Achane returns to 15, 16, 17 overall. So I guess I'm okay with that. But I don't think people are that stupid that they think that this guy is going to then fill the void that we just thought was there target-wise that would be redistributed to Achane, Hill, and Waddle. I don't think people are that ridiculous. If he catches 40 passes, I'll be shocked. I'll be just completely shocked. If he, let's say, he has 40 for 403 TDs, I'll be like, wow, I did not think this man could come back and have a mediocre year. That is what we're looking at. Waller's not stepping onto a field. Look, you take a year off, that's bad enough. You're injury prone, that's bad enough. So now you got 2 red flags. He took a year off, developed cobwebs, isn't ready. He's injury prone. Not being ready, walking onto a field after taking a year off just feeds into the other red flag, injury. So you got 2 red flags right there. And number 3, he hasn't played well since 2020. 2020, the pandemic. I think I built the studio in 2020. He hasn't played well while I've been in the studio. He has not. Take that in for a minute. I was in my old makeshift studio. I was in the kitchen, actually, while this studio was being built. The last time Darren Waller played good football. And we're really going to buy into this? I don't think so. All right. Enough of Waller. I'm not even entertaining this for that long. It's ridiculous. what we want to talk about here, let's put Waller over in the corner here. Waller, you've had enough screen time. Now it's time to talk about a man known as DK Metcalf, an underrated man. A man that kind of goes untalked about with this whole Miami Dolphin, Pittsburgh Steeler trade fiasco. This is a guy that kind of is going to be thought by people to see a downtick in value, right?
Stock on decline.
Correct. That's correct. His value, perceived value, goes down. Why? Because the team added another pass catcher. It's that simple. But astute minds like you and I, people that watch this show, understand that perception is not always reality. Or perception is reality, but at the end of the day, what we can live in is a world of what's actually going to happen and unfold, and then that's how we get the W. So if you want to assume that Jonnu Smith is going to come to the Pittsburgh Steelers offense, not consume any of Freiermuth's receptions and targets, create a new void in that situation, pull all those targets in, and take away from DK Metcalf, then that's on you. I believe, and I think this is a smart way to look at it, is Jonnu goes in, rips everything from Freiermuth. There's a surplus of enough targets anyway to say you need some more here. Take it out of this grab bag of leftover targets that DK wasn't going to touch anyway, and take the decreased ADP value and go win a championship. Because DK Metcalf, if he gets lowered in ADP even 5 entire overall spots, or 1, 2, 3 wide receiver spots, he becomes, I don't want to say league winner, but somebody that can help you win a league. Because the idea that in this offense where there's no other wide receivers but Calvin Austin, who I like, but he's not going to be a fantasy football world star. Okay, he's not going to consume 90 receptions or something. DK Metcalf, even in a, I don't know, this number seems very realistic to me. 72 receptions, 1090, and let's call it 11 TDs. This is a number that I very, very, very much think is in the cards for DK Metcalf in 2025. Very much. In fact, I think this is I don't want to say floor, but it feels very floor-like for him. I just think that number speaks to me when I'm drafting DK Metcalf as a third wide receiver. Maybe if Jonnu didn't land on roster in Pittsburgh, DK costs more of a super high-end wide receiver 3 or low-end 2. Now he can be your third wide receiver if you want. It depends. Maybe his value won't drop as much as we anticipate. Keep in mind, this trade happened yesterday. ADPs haven't fully adjusted yet. This is kind of a preemptive guesswork type situation, but I do believe he will be the quiet winner of this entire trade fiasco because he will be perceived to have value that's going down. But in reality, he's not moving at all. So his down ADP will equal gold because he will not actually move down. Just his perception, his perceived value moves down. This is a really, really good player to draft in 2025. This could be arguably one of the craftier wide receiver 2s if you were to go like hammer wide receiver in round 1, then stop. Cold turkey. Don't go wide receiver. You go hero wide receiver. You draft one wide receiver, you go cold turkey. Draft RB, QB, tight end, whatever. Swing back in later, take DK as your wide receiver 2 and start continuing the wide receiver shop. Or in a scenario where maybe you do some sort of DK Metcalf and Deebo Samuel-esque wide receiver 1 and 2, instead of a board like this, you could maybe do something along the lines of let's go ahead and throw a new board up here. Let's say let's go running back shopping. Let's go Bijan in round 1, and you take Bijan in round 1. In round 2, you go with our traditional monster Bucky Irving in round 2, who's still a glorious pick in round 2. Love the guy. He's one of the best league winners in fantasy. And this, like H-Chan's value yesterday, the fear of it climbing, I think is eventually going to be on the table. And I did a show on it last night to talk about that I think start acting now. Acquire, draft. Move your redraft data. Just make sure you get him before his ADP climbs. So if we go, let's say 0 wide receiver through a handful of rounds, we get into this, I don't know, let's just go Josh Allen right here in round 3. So Josh Allen right here. And let's say we go with a little Hampton, or no, you know what? Forget it. Let's take Josh Allen off. Let's go McBride in round 3, who's been falling to round 3, especially with Tyreek Hill potentially bumping some players down. Hopefully that continues and nobody looks at this situation with Waller and says, oh, let's return everybody back to where they were. Hopefully the bump down still occurs. So Trey McBride in round 3. That would allow us to get a potential, I mean, you could still get JD5 in round 4 sometimes, which is crazy. It's unbelievable. So we'll go JD5 in round 4. Remember the caller yesterday? JD5. Haven't you ever heard of a sophomore slump, Smitty? Yeah. Oh, you got to love the people that just can't let go of their misses, you know? JD5 in round 4. And then you get DK Metcalf and Debo as your 2 wide receivers. I'm not saying this is my favorite draft strategy, but I am interested to know who loves this build right here. So if we go Debo right here, and we go DK Metcalf right here in round number 5. Can I get a thumbs up if this is a strategy? Maybe it's not your favorite, but is this one that you guys would be okay smashing? I would love to know if 0 wide receiver looks good in this context. So let me know what you think. Let's find out. Let's find out with a vote here. I want some thumbs up. We got an Aldi sign me up. But again, it doesn't have to be your favorite approach. Just, does this look like a league winner to you? Is this something you could, if I handed you this team, you feel like you could maybe win a league with? That's all I'm asking. A thumb up from Matt. Matt likes it. Rick likes it. I mean, so far I got nothing but thumbs up on this one. Now, you don't have to go with this exact, strategy. You could maybe mix in a little bit. Say, I'm going to go wide receiver early. Instead of Daniels, I'm going to take, somebody here. Instead of McBride, I'm going to take JSN or something like that. And then I'm going to take Metcalf and Debo anyway. Now I've got a strong 3 wide receivers. You don't necessarily have to deploy exactly what I'm saying. I'm just merely pointing out that DK and Debo have top 10 wide receiver upside. You could go 0 wide receiver through 4 rounds, grab DK and Debo, and you might have 2 top 10 wide receivers. You probably have at least 1 top 10 to 12 wide receiver out of these 2 guys. I think you have at least 2 top 12. Maybe 2 top 14, one of them's top 8. I really think DK or Debo, one of them could slip into that 8 to 10 range, let's call it. Let's be very, very careful with it. This is a pretty good team. This is a pretty good squad. I like it. This is the video we did last night talking about Bucky and Debo, both league winners. Go watch it if you haven't seen it. Let's open the phone lines up and see what you guys think of not only the Darren Waller situation, but DK Metcalf's value, DK Metcalf's potential league winning value.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
Dial in. Still have not heard from Travis. Travis, we are getting worried, my boy. Ron Navy, you're live. Maybe I have to go to the speaker. Hold on, Ron. Hang tight. Although Ron's phone's been